Okay, next on our agenda is Chad Hershler, the Executive Director of Deer Crossing, the Art Farm. And I think you've got some visuals for us. So page one. And are we having some alarm testing or what is going on? We don't have to duck and cover again. We did that once before.
Oh, okay. All right. So, thank you again for letting me come and speak today. Sounds like it's a busy day. I've got 2 applications in for support from the economic development funding here at the SCRD, and one of them is for the Fuse Community Work Hub. This is a concept that's been 2 years in the making. The Art Farm, which is the organization that I'm the executive director of, facilitated a strategic kind of planning process for a co-working space here on the Sunshine Coast. And for those who aren't familiar with what co-working is, it's essentially a shared workspace environment for an emerging and sort of growing sector of the workforce, which is home-based entrepreneurs and people that work out of cafes and mostly on their computers. And generally, they're sort of in either the creative sectors and in design or on in tech, intelligence sector, and there's also the sort of emerging social innovation sector as well. So I just wanted to give you some visuals on kind of what we've done up to date. We've been able to open up a pilot space in Sechelt, and this was made possible by the support of the District of Sechelt, as well as Community Futures and a number of other funders. And let's see here. This is our big launch party. This happened in April, and so we were able to open the doors and start getting members into the space. So this gives you a sense of the different members that are there, and it's quite a diverse mix. There's nonprofit organizations, there's a lot of consultants, there's marketing, website, and I would say every couple of weeks we're getting new members coming in. So it's pretty exciting. It's starting to percolate there.
Chad, are all these members using the space?
That's right. Yeah, they're all members that use the shared workspace and either in whatever capacity. They either have client meetings there or they use it to work. So it just gives you some shots of the actual space. And these are some events that we ran out of the space last year. And really, I would say that's the focus of our pitch for support today. Is the main value that this sort of emerging sector gets out of a co-working space is the cross-pollination and the networking that comes from it. And some of that is just incidental, and it's incidental to sharing the space. But a lot of it is actually through events. And so that's the part that we want to facilitate more of, and we need support to coordinate that. Again, some more photos. And so in the first 6 months, we've been open now, I guess, 6-7 months, and we've learned quite a bit. And these are just some of the things that we've been able to pull out of that sort of 6-7 month pilot. There are members that want to plan events, but they need support to get that going. And then I would say our membership is more than just the people that are using the space as well, and we're looking at how we can expand what a member profile is for this co-working space, because some people are just looking for the cross-pollination and the networking, and I would say that the main reason I've come to the SCRD for support is we want to reach out beyond sort of the District of Sechelt to try to pull in more of the of those sort of home-based entrepreneurs that are in the sort of farther reaching places on the Sunshine Coast, um, uh, we've certainly met many of them, and believe that they and have been told that they benefit a lot from being able to get out of their home office space and meet others that are kind of outside their field and also within their field. So that, I believe, is it for Fuse. And I just wanted to um, just give you a quick introduction to the Ignite program.
Can I just
Yeah.
stop you there for a moment, since you're looking at two projects? So
Yeah.
Fuse, if people have questions about the Fuse component, maybe they'd like to ask those now.
You bet.
So does anybody have a question about the Fuse part? I do. So, but I'll go ahead, Director Johnson.
Chad, I'm wondering if you could speak to any kind of time horizon that you have developed here for Fuse to be self-sustaining, or is that simply not possible? That's just one of the very nature of it will always require government assistance? Can you?
No, yeah. Thanks for that question.
Yeah.
When we put together the business plan for Fuse, which is still there and you can find it on our website, we researched quite extensively other co-working spaces around the country, around the world. Really, it's a pretty exciting, growing movement, and all across the board, they said there was usually a 2 to 3 year ramp up period for these co-working spaces to get to a self-sustaining kind of point. And there was a magic number of between 30 and 50 members. And so we're actually approaching those numbers. But I would say the membership profile, or the sort of membership numbers in a rural area, might end up being a bit different. Partly because in urban centers, they use it a lot more. So they'll get a higher level of membership, like a higher cost. So the way the costing works is you pay sort of for a number of hours that you get in the co-working space, as opposed to the space itself. So there's anything from $75 a month up to $350 a month. So I would say we may need to get higher numbers of members, but I'd say we're on target for the 2 to 3 year. Yeah.
So my question relates to that in terms of the funding that you're requesting, $5,000. Is that towards your operating, or is that specifically for the 5 workshops that you have?
Yeah, that's specific to those to that programming. The operating. So I don't know if it's. I believe I gave you a operating budget, but the operating costs are pretty much balance out with the revenue that we get from our membership. And so we just, to be able to provide that added value of the programming, we need some support for that coordination.
So that when you have on page 5 of our agenda package, you've got programming expenses of $10,000. Is that the workshops?
That's right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're looking for 5 from the regional district for that, and then you're looking at other
Supplementary
yeah.
support. Yep.
And is there a fee for attending the workshops?
It would depend on the workshops. They haven't been fully designed yet, but depending on what they are and whether that particular market would be able to afford it as well. So in some cases, we'd like to provide programming to nonprofits, and we'd like to provide that free.
Okay, I have a question from Director Knorr and then Director Johnson.
I went through Fuse last night, looked at the facilities, very clean, well laid out. How long would Community Futures allow you to operate there?
Well, I would say at this point, there's kind of an understanding that there's an indefinite period of trial here. I mean, if they decide that they need to move, then we'd have to kind of reassess. But there hasn't been any limit put on that as of yet. And as far as we can tell so far, it's a real win-win for them, because they're getting potential loan clients coming through their space, and they're getting kind of an added, the space itself has kind of been elevated by the shared workspace. So
My last question would be, you're talking about 5 workshops, but you haven't planned them yet.
Yeah, we've basically put out. So this is for 2014, and we didn't. To be honest, we're actually planning. We want to do 10 workshops. Those 5 are the ones that we've gotten sort of feedback from our members and from the community those are areas that they would like some support with, and so we're waiting to get more of that to plan more. But there's really no point in us starting to plan the workshops until we're confident that we're going to move forward with them.
So my next question would be, what is the budget for 2015 workshops? Where's the money coming from?
Well, like I say, I mean, if the goal is to get to a place where we're self-sustaining, and if you are self-sustaining and you have those numbers of members, say in our case we have between 50 and 70 members, then dream-wise, the membership is driving the programming. That you're actually, that sort of energy can support itself.
The only reason I'm asking this, Chad, is we have about 40, 50 other organizations always wanting to get assisted, and we don't want to concentrate our funds all in one organization to try and help all of them.
Yeah, I understand that, and I don't. I would say that this sort of process of coming for support is certainly not something we want to do on a regular basis. But we also recognize that with all of the co-working spaces, the only reason that they've succeeded is because they've had support at the outset. It's at this point, it's not a model that can kind of instantly be self-sustaining.
Last comment, though, is I think you're probably aware that a lot of these programs are not in Community Futures, but in a lot of them in different communities are in the library. I don't know if you'd research that at all, but it's quite a known thing for libraries to have like a Fuse program.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to move this along because we have the next piece of Chad's presentation. I have Director Johnson, Director Morrow, and then we'll call it there. Go ahead.
Yeah. When I look at this project, I'm looking at it as an economic development project rather than any other. It has huge social benefits. Obviously, people need a job, but people are creating their own jobs in these projects. But I'm just wondering, Chad, if you could kind of give us a very quick summation of the demographics of your membership right now and some idea of the extent to which the folks using Fuse are also operating businesses in the communities and.
Yeah, of course. So in terms of demographics, the age range is actually quite diverse, which surprised us. We assumed that we would be sort of looking at the 20 to 50 demographic, but we have some users that are in their 60s, and it's sorry. And then the second question was the type of businesses that they're running. Yeah, so a lot of them are consultants, and a lot of them are people that run businesses here where their clients are off coast. I'd say the bulk of those sort of businesses are looking for off coast kind of consulting work and that sort of thing. Same with the marketing company, the designers, that sort of thing. And I would argue that that's kind of the market that we're most interested in trying to bring in, because that's where the most economic development can be found. So,
Director Morrow?
Yeah, I was looking at the financial reporting, and just briefly, I don't want to get too carried away, but I just looked at the operating budget 2013 on the light and dark paged one. Is that the Art Farm operating budget, or is that Fuse? I was just wondering if that.
I actually just don't have it in front of me.
That's the 191,000.
Yeah, that's the Art Farm.
That's the Art Farm. Okay. So, okay.
So, Chad, could you quickly give us the Ignite piece, and then we'll have to make some recommendations. So,
You bet. Okay, so Ignite is one of the programs that came out of the Fuse Community Work Hub. It was sort of a pilot program, and it was so successful that we decided to apply for support from the Vancouver Foundation to run this actually 3 years in a row. The way this program worked is we put out a call for people in the community who really just had an idea around a social enterprise. So in that case, they had some kind of a problem, local challenge in the community, and they sort of saw a business concept that could help both, that could be sustainable and could help solve that particular challenge. So these were the 5 sort of social entrepreneurs that went through the program. The program begins with 8 weeks of fairly intense, an intense class, essentially, that's run by an SFU professor who takes the seed of an idea and turns it into a viable business concept. And from there, the art farm comes and takes these social entrepreneurs and sort of throws them into workshops with participants from the community, just citizens that we've gone out and recruited who are interested in supporting these ideas. And we sort of go out of our way to try to find a diverse mix in the community, ages, geography, where they're living, to try to get a real kind of a mix of ideas and support. And the reasoning behind that is that with these social enterprises, what we've learned is that many of them require a community around them to really get liftoff. That's what happened with Fuse, and certainly what we're seeing with these. These workshops led to a big kind of pitch event that took place in Sechelt last May, where these social entrepreneurs, along with their sort of smaller groups that had supported them through the workshop process, pitched these ideas. And then it was quite well attended, 100 or so people. They went around from one booth to the next, getting these pitches, and then they all the attendees voted on the social enterprise that they were most enthusiastic about. They most felt that they would want to support or get involved with. So that at the outset of this program, we had sort of 5 viable social enterprises, along with a group of people around them, names, along with what they wanted to support them, how they would support them to kind of move forward. And just to kind of give you a sense that this really has had tangible benefits kind of moving forward, Karmalift was one of the social enterprises. It's a rideshare program, and that's sort of taking off now. And the Coast Car Co-op, which Johan Stroman is leading, and that's also kind of just starting to gain traction and move forward. So these really are projects that will and can have tangible economic benefits in the community.
So the $3,000 that you're asking for that is for what exactly?
So that's for the program that we run, the Ignite program, which is quite a it requires it's sort of outside of the scope of the programming that we're talking about with Fuse. It's essentially an accelerator program for social enterprise, and so we're looking for supplementary support from the we're getting a large grant from the Vancouver Foundation, and this would supplement that and provide coordination support.
Okay, any questions on this one? What I would like to recommend, this is a request for economic development support, not grant and aid specifically. The economic development budgets for the regional district at this time are segregated into 5 functions by electoral area. And I think that this should be referred to budget so that we can look at all the applications for economic development funding. There is another one on this particular agenda as a group, so that we can really see each electoral area, what we're up to. So it's moved by Director Turnbull. Is there a seconder for that? Director Lewis seconds that. So that would be, this material would be referred to round 1 of budget. Is there any discussion on that motion? All in favor? That carries. Thank you.
Great.
Just one thing, Madam
Yes.
Chair. If we could have these same documents back, that would be
Yes,
great.
that
We don't
would
need to
be,
have you
Steve,
come
so
in and
we
bring
would
them all.
want this
Okay.
whole package to be referred to budget. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.